Today, I have the honor to talk to Tami Price. Tami, thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Sure. For those of you who do not know Tami, Tami is a super successful agent from San Antonio, Texas. She has an amazing energy. Actually, I met Tami twice, I believe. Once in New York, once in San Antonio.
Yep.
And I can clearly remember the hug. Like when you saw me, you just opened your hands, you hugged me, and it felt like home. So I cannot forget that. But aside from that, Tami is a single mom of 3 children. She's been in real estate for about 15 years. Tami grew up in California, relatively poor. She's an ex-military. She has an amazing real estate business that works like a very well-oiled machine. She has Cody as her assistant. Not anymore?
Not anymore. I'm completely solo.
Okay, wow. That's even more impressive. Amazing work ethics. And all in all, I think that we are super lucky to have Tami on our real family. So
thank
Tami,
you.
After this, do you want to introduce yourself in a couple of words?
Well, I think you covered a lot there. No, you're absolutely correct. I have been in real estate coming up on my 15th year. Single mom of 3, ages ranging 10 to 29. Let me get her age right. My oldest always says I forget her age. So yeah, just my whole real estate career has been spent in San Antonio. I love this city, the people that I serve, and coming from a military background, I get my greatest passion from serving those who serve or have served in the military. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the military, actually. Your dad served in the military. You served in the military. And I found it kind of interesting because my dad served in the military for 25 years. I served in the military as well. And I think that, growing up in a military family shapes your future or helps shape your future in a certain way. How do you think that the military, both the time that you were growing up in army bases and your service, how do you feel that it shaped your life and your career?
I think that having been raised in the military with a really, my dad was old school strict, right? I believe we have 5 generations of service in my family. My oldest also served. She was in the Navy, but growing up on Air Force bases and with my dad, man, he instilled a work ethic in me from an early age. I was the boy he never had. So, I learned at a very young age to mow the yard, do everything to military standards. I worked in the commissary on the base. My dad put me in the cornfields of Illinois when I was in 7th grade. So I think that what it did for me is when I got into real estate, I came in when the market was doing this, right? My colleagues at the time told me, don't invest in this, don't do that. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. But my dad always taught me to get up, put my boots on, and show up ready for business. So I did everything that everyone else told me I shouldn't do. I did open houses. I walked neighborhoods. I did neighborhood ice cream socials, whatever I could do to get myself, my business out there to others so they knew that I was in real estate and that I could assist them with any of their real estate needs. And the majority of those people who told me not to do the things that I did that lent to my early on success are no longer in real estate. But I am.
Yeah. So to summarize it, it's about discipline, perseverance, determination probably as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I also know that you studied counseling in the past. And when I learned that, it was pretty amazing because counseling is such an amazing trait for a real estate agent because let's face it, we are dealing with humans and we are dealing with families and couples, and you have to be a counsel or a counselor very
Correct.
often. Do you feel like this is helping you?
Yeah, emotions run high, frustrations run high. And, I think that having the background that I do and the education that I do, both in psychology and counseling, have been very instrumental in me being able to successfully guide people through a process. For the most part, I'm typically able to help manage the stress, the anxiety, the frustration, and really serve my clients well.
So talking about clients, there are a lot of agents out there, and some of them are super, super loud and vocal and are, the production doesn't match the noise that they're making. And I think that in your case, it's really the opposite, because you are super productive, I would say, especially for a solo agent. You serve so many clients, but you're just focusing on doing your best, on serving the clients, on closing deals, and you're not too noisy about it. You're just focusing on what matters. And the question is, what do you think makes you so successful? Like, what's the secret here?
Well, I think the secret to it is everyone can post about their production, right? If you're about the transaction and the numbers that you put up, you're really not about the client. In my opinion, this is a relationship business, and so I value the relationship over the transaction at all times. I want to be the best that I can be to my clients, serve them well, and maintain that relationship, not only through the transaction, but beyond. If I do put up some incredible numbers, especially for someone who's solo and I'm a single mom of a child that requires a lot of time, care, and attention. But I managed to strike that work-life balance too. So again, it's just not about production. I mean, I can do like everybody else and say, oh, I closed 1.2 million last month. But what does that really mean, right? If we're about production and not relationship, then we're really not doing our jobs.
That's true. And at the end of the day, behind every transaction, there's a human. There's a family. And that's what matters. That's what we do at the end of the day. We help people fulfill their real estate dreams. And,
absolutely.
And we cater to this very basic need of shelter, of a home, of a place to raise your family in. And we should never forget that. And that brings me to ask you, so after being in the military, how did you end up in real estate? Like what made you think that this is the right path for you?
I mean, it's a crazy story. So I took a position with the Air Force, working in the Airmen and Family Readiness Clinic, and decided that I wanted to move my family back to San Antonio. They were very unhappy with the move. So I came back to San Antonio with the intent of going back to get my license in counseling, doing the hours necessary. The requirements had changed from you can get your license and then do your, I think it was 3,000 hours, to now you got to do your 3,000 hours before you get licensed. Prior to moving away, I had this love for homes. I helped my sister buy a home before I ever got licensed. My best friend, I actually went to neighborhoods and helped her. I was like, oh, here's a neighborhood I think fit you. This is the builder. I found a floor plan. But when I came back to San Antonio, I had a good friend who worked in new construction. I went to visit him at one of his model homes, and we started talking. And during the course of the conversation, I said, he asked me what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to go back and get my license. His face lit up and he said, you would be incredible as a realtor. And we're talking two totally different things. I'm talking counseling license. He's talking real estate license. And I looked at him, me and real estate? He said, absolutely. He goes, how many times have you helped your friends and family go through the process of finding a home? You've gone to the design studio with them. You've met with the mortgage company. You've been by their side. You've gone in and out of homes. You know the features. He goes, you would be incredible. And I thought, man, he's crazy, right? But I went home and I thought, real estate. A week later, I took my first real estate class.
Wow, it was that quick.
Yeah, I had time on my hands, and I thought I can do 3,000 hours as a counseling intern, and get a license in counseling, or I can try something different. So I tried something different.
And you fell in love immediately, or it took some time for you to actually like real estate?
I would say that in the beginning, because I am that classic overachiever, right? I'm a high D personality, type A, and I wouldn't say I fell in love right away. I put so much pressure on myself to perform that I probably overworked myself just a little bit. But once I got into the swing of things and I felt competent in my services, I fell in love with it easily, because, man, when you get someone into a home and you've helped them through this process and they're smiling, they're so happy, they're talking about the memories they're going to make, the plans, they share photos of updates and whatnot. I really felt like I helped someone accomplish something huge, right? My first home cost me $69,000. So to help someone else get into their very first home that they didn't think was possible, man, to this day, that's still one of the greatest feelings I have. I can do a $700,000-800,000 transaction, but it's that one where someone's getting to their first home, they can't afford a lot, and they've accomplished such a huge goal. It just still makes me all warm and fuzzy inside.
And that's great. And it's really about making impact on somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. A positive impact, for sure.
Absolutely.
So Tami, you joined Real over a year ago, was it?
Yep, September 2020.
Yeah, and you've seen the company mature, grow, go through a lot of changes. Obviously, we are extremely fortunate to have you in the family. But as an agent at Real and as a shareholder, what is your main concern now when you look at the company? And I know this is a somewhat unusual question, but we shouldn't always talk about the positives. We can also share the negatives as well. So what are some of the things that you are concerned about as we continue to grow and scale?
Well, I think we've experienced some tremendous growth, right? I think that there is a need at some point in time to have some local recognition for agents who are doing really, really incredible things and may not necessarily ever make a top, company-wide production list, right? Yeah. I think having local recognition helps those folks who wouldn't otherwise achieve that company-wide list would benefit the company and the agent in the long run, because the more that we foster this feeling of inclusiveness, the more people are going to love what they do and have something forward facing in their markets that others can see proof of success, right? Because we know that many agents love the proof of success, the production lists, things of that nature. I think there's a need for something like that.
Okay. Thank you for the advice, and I will make sure to pass it on to our marketing team. I know we are working a lot on local initiatives and agent recognition, but I agree that there's an urgency around that.
Yeah, because we have some, I know that here locally, we have some incredible agents, solo agents, teams, and right. And you know, we come from very traditional brokerages. Yeah. So a lot of that is it happens on a monthly basis, and they leave those environments and then they don't have it here. And not everyone lives to see their name on a production list. I mean, I know what I do, and I'm okay, and I'm fine with that. But I do think that recognition does go a long way.
Noted. So your daughter, Peyton, she's 10 years old?
Yes, she'll be 11 in April. Ooh,
and she's very, very involved in your real estate business. She goes with you on showings. She drives in the car with you. She asks a lot of questions about real estate. How do you think that being involved in your business contributes to Peyton, or to her personality, to her future? How do you see that impacting on her?
So, you know, with Peyton being high functioning autistic and having some other, you know, social issues, being involved in my business is something that I think has helped her socialization. But the kid, I think that if she wanted to, she could completely run my business in the next 10 years. I mean, there will be time where I'm talking and she'll chime in. She'll give her opinion on a property. She'll notice things that maybe someone else wouldn't have noticed. She'll talk about option periods, loan officers, appraisals. Aren't you concerned about the appraisal on that one, Mom? So, I mean, she has a healthy knowledge of real estate at 10. And it's not just because of me. Her father's a full-time realtor as well. So she gets it from both sides, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's one time he had her at a closing, and I don't think the buyer truly understand what the lender was trying to tell her. And it was something that worked to her benefit. And because Peyton is high functioning autistic, sometimes there's no filter. She, on her iPad, and very calmly looked up and said, I think it's time that you listen to what your lender is trying to tell you. And so there are those moments where you're like, did she really just say that? But she's 100% correct, but she's so matter of fact about it.
Yeah. Would you encourage her to pursue a real estate career in the future if she was interested in it?
If she was interested in it, I would. You know, her ambition right now is to be an architect.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, if that's the route she wants to go. And I'm like, look, you're already the CEO of my business. You're my boss. Let's make it official. Let's get your real estate license at 18, and we can rule the world together.
Exactly. Last question. So we are a month and a half into 2022, and there are a lot of talks about the economic, about interest rates, mortgage rates, supply and demand, sellers market. It seems like the market continues to be crazy despite of everything. And I know how difficult it is to provide projections, especially when everything is recorded. I looked at one of my projections for 20, I think it was 2021, and I said, yeah, the market is going to cool down. I mean, I was wrong. But do you mind sharing some of your projections for the real estate market in 2022?
So here locally, I don't see things slowing down at all. interest rates are going to go up. And I guess, we've heard that they're poised to go up a couple times this year. But in that same vein, home prices continue to go up.
Yeah.
So I think that as long as we see this limited inventory, we're at about 1.4 months worth of inventory here locally. And we have such a high buyer demand that the cost of waiting in its totality is going to continue to spur the activity that we see here. And I think the market, and I'll say I don't want it to be, because I don't really want to be as busy as I was last year. But based on what I'm doing and what I'm seeing and the clients that are coming my way right now, I think it's going to be just as hot as it was in 2021, barring no real huge financial economic issue, coming up.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that interest rates are going to affect the demand side, but still there's such a shortage in supply that even with rising interest rates, I think that we will still experience a very strong market this year.
Absolutely.
But,
yes.
Who knows? Let's check that.
Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball.
Exactly. Tami, thank you very much for being with us and sharing your story, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Thank you very much.